Okay, rock to point video. I still got a bunch of these nodules, so let's put them under the billet, as they say. Do they say that? No. Nobody says that. But that's what I'm going to do. I gotta watch how I hold this. I've been damaging my knuckles here on some of these rock to point videos, because I tend to back it up into my hand when I'm doing this, and I don't feel that knuckle until later. I don't feel the effect on my knuckle until later. So archaeologists have a name for this kind of reduction when you use a core like this, but I forgot the name of it. All I know is it's not the la 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 technique. It's a different technique for creating cores. And you try to skin off in one direction across the whole length of the piece without overshooting. Yeah. So when someone brings me something to spall for them, I usually use this technique where I try to skin off flakes that go across the whole piece, or as far as I can get it without overshooting. Then I'm left with a core that looks like this, and then I can make this into a biface. Did they do this in the past? Usually not. They would just leave these cores sitting there because what they wanted was these. And usually in the middle of the nodule it was concretey, so they wouldn't nap it. And then some modern napper like me comes along and picks up some of those artifacts and tries to nap them, and I find out why they didn't nap them in the past. Cruddy. They're really cruddy to nap. They skin off the good stuff and they leave the bad stuff. Now sometimes they skin off the good stuff and they do make tools out of the cores, but only if the core is big enough for something large. That's what I'm thinking. You know, like a larger blade. Then I think maybe they would mess around with the core and see if they can make something out of it, but I think a lot of times they just left the middle. After you do several hundred of these, you get good at it. And you can go through quite a bit of rock in just a little while and then end up with a bunch of good flakes. Yeah. So you see this technique with hammerstone, right? I abrade with the hammerstone like this. I can abrade with this as long as it's rough. I can abrade with the aluminum. But when I do that and I don't say anything, some guys wonder, where's my abrader? What did I do? Why am I not abrading? I am abrading with the aluminum. Why didn't I abrade, or why didn't I reduce this with a hammerstone? Because I want to save my hammerstone for good stuff later. Remember, I wear those down in just a few months. I got to get a new one, so I don't want to wear it down too fast, because then I got to go out looking for more. And that's the part I don't like about hammerstones, is going out and trying to find a good one. Sometimes it takes forever. Yep. Now, some of you noticed, some of you didn't. I did not use an abrader at all for this. Let's see. No grinding, no abrading, except for the billet itself, right? Let's see. Millimeters, 65. And it's let's see, 13. Oh, it's not gonna make it easy. Well, let's say 5 times 15. Let's see, that would be 75. So it's between 4 to 1 and 5 to 1, just with the billet with no abrading, except for using the billet by itself. Okay? This is how I think the vast majority were done in the past. Just with billet or just with hammerstone. No separate abrader to abrade the edges. So with one stone only, or one percussor only, that's it. No multiple tools at this stage. Just one tool doing everything. That's how I think 90% of these were made in the past. That's of course just my opinion. Let's see. I'll get back to that one in a minute. I want to see what's in here. What's in this one? Yeah. Total junk. Yeah. Might have some good spot here, but yeah, no. Good for flint and steel, perhaps. Ouch. Good for flint and steel, but that's it. It's hard stuff. This is a hard one. Yeah, no good. Yeah, not good. Alright, what's this? What have we here? Where's my billet? It rolled. Where did my billet roll to? There it is. Okay. Oh, that might be sweet. tabular, so it's promising. Ooh, that is sweet. When it's like this, I go, let's see, what do I write on it? HQR, high quality raw. That's what I write when it's like this. I'll put it aside, right? HQR. And leave it for laters. All right. So what does the high quality raw nap like? What's it like to nap high quality raw chert or flint? Let me see. I'm trying to think of some descriptive words. There's no descriptive words for flint napping. Isn't that weird? There really isn't any descriptive words for flint napping, even though it's the oldest skill, one of the oldest skills known. But there are different grades of high quality raw. Some of it is nice and glossy, some of it is medium glossy like this one, some of it is very dull, some of it naps really, really well, some of it, yeah, kind of, sort of. But when I put HQR on it, I know that I can run long flakes. So if I wanted to invent a word, I would call this LFC. Long flake compatible. Yeah, LFC. Or something to that effect. LF something like long flake awesome, long flake compatible, long flake capable. LFC long flake capable. Yep, I just invented that for the video. Yeah. That's what I consider high quality raw. Long flake compatible. It cooperates with your attempts to produce long flakes. If you got something that you can only get short flakes with, you're either new or you're working really bad stuff, or both. Yep. It's not rocket science. Not rocket science. It's rock science. Yeah. So yeah, we're all rock scientists. Someone might say, you're all rocket scientists? No, rock scientists. Rock scientists. You mean you're experts in that sort of weird music? No. Like stones. Stone scientists. Oh, like scientists are always experimenting with psychedelic drugs? No. Not stoned scientists. Stone scientists. Yeah. Okay. Enough of this silly, and let's get to step fracturing the middle. Let's step fracture the heck out of the middle of this. Yeah. I cannot get it to travel through that nasty stuff, so I'm going to have to make it more narrow. Yeah. So much for the wide biface attempt. I don't make wide bifaces anyway, so I don't know what I'm doing. That's probably the longest I can get. As long as it runs through a good spot. Now, would I still put the LFC label on this, even though it's got concrete? No, I would not. I'd take that off, or I'd scratch it out after I discovered there's concrete in it. It's not LFC anymore. So sometimes what I do is put it in the heat treat. That takes care of a lot of the roughness of the concrete, and it makes it slightly easier to nap through. In most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, if you heat treat it, it's easier to nap through the concrete. Yeah. Now I am abrading at this stage. I'm abrading at this stage a lot more than I used to in the past. Mainly because I'm using steel. But also, it's a shortcut to making a beefier edge without removing too much width. And yeah, I do the whole edge. I do as much as I can so that I can just strike several flakes off before I have to regrind. I don't like regrinding. And the flakes are not all the same size. I don't go for only long flakes, even though I ground it like I'm gonna do a long flake. Sometimes I only do a short flake. Sometimes it's only a short flake on a heavily ground edge. Losing my voice, or my voice is cracking. What is up with that? I don't know. Something in the atmosphere that affecting my allergies or something, or I'm dehydrated. Wouldn't be surprised if I'm dehydrated. Let me see. I see what you're doing. You spoiled me in the beginning. Now you don't want to cooperate. Yeah. You acted okay in the beginning, but now it's like getting tired. The stone is getting tired of being cooperative. Yeah, cooperation fatigue. It's a Flintknapping term. When your stone develops cooperation fatigue, it doesn't do what you want it to do. No. It stops cooperating because it's getting tired of being good. Tired of tolerating your hits. What's really happening is I'm trying to thin down a thin piece. That's what's actually happening. Yeah. In case you're wondering, in case you didn't catch that. Or in case you're thinking I was being a little serious there. So I'm cheating through the concrete here. Trying to eliminate as much of that as I can. Alright, so I got a bunch of it off. If I can send in a flake to clean it up, that would be ideal. It's okay as far as flatness right now. It's kind of cleaned up now, but it could be a little flatter. Could be. My grinding, my abraders are getting thin. Yeah, they're wearing out. I need to go buy another grinding wheel for bench grinders, or 2 grinding wheels. They come in different grits, you know. This is like a finer grit than this one. They both said medium when I got it. Not everyone's medium is the same. Funny how that works. Not everyone's medium grade stone is the same either. I might think it's medium grade, you might think it's extremely difficult. And I might think it's hard or difficult grade, and you guys think it's easy. Some of you guys. Come on, you can do better than that. I know this stone can cooperate a little bit better than that. I don't need to go thinner than that to be ineffective at ladle dart point. I found out, well, I didn't find out, but some of you guys told me that you don't get itchy if it's too thick. Doesn't bug you. I found out some of you don't care if it's too thick or it looks really thick. No. I thought it was affecting you guys more than it affects me to see it a thick point. I figured everyone, as soon as they see a thick point, they just lock up and cringe. It's cringe paralysis as soon as you see a thick point. Unless it's a real one, then you think it's beautiful. But if it's a modern one that's thick, you get cringe paralysis. Yeah. Or itchy. Itchy to make it thinner somehow. Or you think, I got gypped. I got gypped. Either you were sold a thick one or you saw a thick one being made on video and you got gypped. That's what we used to call it. They don't use the word gypped anymore. You know, when someone cheats you out of some money, or cheats you in general, just you didn't get your money's worth, you've been gypped. Yeah. I thought you guys would be all cringy and feeling gypped if you didn't see a thin point on this channel or any other channel. I was looking to see. I was looking to see what you guys watch, other than my videos. What else you guys watching? Nothing new on that front. Pretty much the same stuff. Bushcraft and ancient civilizations, hunting videos. Ouch, that should have gone further. That kind of stuff. I was hoping maybe you guys would be venturing out into new territory. No. Same old, same old. Sometimes I venture out into new territory when I watch videos. Yeah. So what have I been watching? I've been watching a lot of revolver reviews. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting a revolver. Yep. The only thing I don't like is the low capacity, you know, 5 or 6 shots. Unless you get a 22, then you can get, I guess, up to 8 shots. But no, I want something a little more hefty. Yeah, only 5 or 6 shots with something more hefty. Why am I looking into that? Because it's new territory. I don't know much about them. I fired a lot of semi-auto pistols, but not many revolvers. Although I did qualify with a 38. In the National Guard, we had pistol qualification one year. I qualified with a 45 caliber and a 38 caliber. Or, I guess I call them caliber. I don't even know anymore. And I've been watching the videos, nothing's sinking in. Anyway. Lots of choices. So there's a lot of videos on the topic. Yeah. Never gets dull, never gets boring on that front. What else have I been watching? I do check on other flint nappers from time to time. Cruise their channels and lurk. I'm a lurker on their channels. I watched a lot of ADHD stuff. I'm watching a lot of World War II stuff. So yeah, if you were to look at my history of video watching, it's never the same stuff. Well, I can't say that. There's a few things that I do watch regularly, but I'm branching out a little bit every now and then. Okay, let's see. Yeah. That is a really tough patch of concrete. Yeah, I don't like those. This kind of stuff splits the whole thing in half. If I have to do this, a lot of times it'll just split the whole thing. You know, this flake will dive in. The only way to get it is to make it more narrow on the other side and try to shoot a flake the other way. But when there's a big step like this, I can really hit it hard and try to overshoot, and it'll just take that off. And yes, I said try to overshoot. Is it possible to try to overshoot? Of course. But it's not going to because of that big step fracture. Usually when I try to overshoot and it succeeds, it makes it way too narrow. Where I don't want it to be narrow. Because sometimes I want it to be narrow. But when I don't want it to be narrow, I don't overshoot. Or I don't try. So it's considerably more narrow because I'm trying to thin it down. Not because I'm trying to make it look better or be better. It's getting more narrow because I'm trying to thin it down. I could have stopped at 5:1 with the thickness ratio. I don't need to go any thinner than that. See, there's plenty of room in this haft. This haft is pretty much the maximum. Plenty of room. So I did not need to go thinner. But I'm going thinner for the video, and that's why it's getting more narrow. And if someone asked me to do a blade, I don't do them anymore, but I was doing a lot of blades on the side. You know, they would say, yeah, try to get it as thin as you can. The thinner you get them, the more they're worth. Okay. Try to get them thin. They end up being narrow. That's the opposite of what most people want. Most people want wide and thin. Why? I guess so they can resharpen it a lot. Now see, it's too long. If I try now, it's the flake that is required. It's gonna have to be too long. So I gotta take it back some more. I can already tell that flake that's required to eliminate that is going to be way too long. I got to stay within range. I have to minimize the risk. Besides, I can lose some of that because of symmetry. Hit that like I wanted to overshoot it. It tried to get it. See that? It went in, it jumped out of that first flake and then tried to jump back in. But when it tried to jump back in, that concrete stopped it. Yeah. I send another flake right next to it. The concrete stopped that one too. So concrete's a good barrier, yeah. You didn't know? Of course you knew that. Concrete's a good barrier not only in Flintknapping, but in traffic control. Yeah. Good for stopping tanks, tank traps. Why do I bring that up? Because I've been studying World War II tank warfare. Yeah, interesting. It's interesting stuff. Those guys fought it out like a slugging match, like watching a slugging match. It's ridiculous. A lot of times they would stand off and fire at each other, but it got to the point where that didn't resolve the battle. You had to actually try to run over the enemy. You can't stand off and shoot them. They tried that over and over with artillery, with accurate tank gunfire, long-range weapons. It didn't take care of the enemy, so they had to actually physically roll over the enemy. So there were times where they were less than 100 meters apart, just slugging it out with tank cannons. Yep. Tank cannons, anti-tank cannons. Then they had handheld missile launchers. Those handheld missile launchers are what destroyed most of the Russian tanks in the war. At least that's what the Germans say. The infantrymen were taking out more tanks than the tank destroyers, the vehicles, the tank destroyer vehicles were destroying less tanks than the infantrymen. Toward the end of the war. Even though they came up with bigger and better anti-tank guns. The cheaper handheld anti-tank weapons were more effective as far as numbers go. All right. You don't want to know that, though. Nobody wants to know that stuff. I just found it interesting. Because you never know, you might be seeing more tank battles in the near future. That's all I'm saying. Where? I'm not going to discuss where, but you know, yeah, everybody knows. Just gotta make sure that watch out for the infantry weapons, the infantry anti-tank weapons. Ones that can be carried around just by a regular soldier. Those are going to get you. Yep. I don't know how many millions of dollars these tanks cost. These days, I don't even know. And all it takes is one handheld missile at a fraction of the cost to lay waste to millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment in one shot. Our tax dollars getting well used. Yeah. Good use of our tax dollars. Them expensive tanks. Right? Right. No. Some of you might be saying, okay, start talking about Flintknapping again. This is getting off the subject tremendously. Well, I'm kind of on the subject of handheld weapons. Weapons deployed by the infantrymen. That's what this is, right? The individual warrior with his missiles. You didn't think I'd be able to segue into this so quickly, huh? No. That's why these keep appearing over and over again. That's why this technology lasted. Projectiles fired by the individual warrior. Extremely effective, and even to this day, nothing beats it other than the big area of effect weapons. these unnatural weapons of destruction. That's as thin as I can go with this. What is it? I can't go any thinner without risking a complete, overwhelming step fracture zone, you know, just completely inundated with step fractures. Okay, 45 millimeters by 8. If it was 9, it'd be 5 to 1. So 5 to 1. It went from between 4 to 1 and 5 to 1 to 5 to 1. Yeah. From that big nodule. Of course, I got some good flakes. But if I was only going for this, from the big nodule without trying to get big flakes like I was trying to do, you know, skin them off. If I was only trying for this, I would just be whittling the big nodule down little by little. I wouldn't be trying for those big flakes. Just to remind you again on how wasteful it is to just focus on only the biface. And focus on only a thin biface, especially. It's wasteful. So there had to be a benefit. This had to have some sort of amazing benefit. And I think we know the benefit. You get good at not only at flint knapping, but at shooting your at little darts. Because you know the flint knapper is probably also an expert at shooting darts, expert in archery. And you thought you had only to learn the skill of flint knapping to learn the old ways. Oh no. You have to learn to shoot too. And there's very similar concepts in both shooting and in flaking, making flakes. Very similar concepts, especially when it comes to subconscious muscle memory and knowing where the projectile or the dart or the arrow is going to land. Your subconscious knows where it's going to land. It actually throws it or shoots it. You can do the thing where you're fully conscious of how you aim and all that. Some people nap that way too. They're very conscious about how they're aiming everything. But some people are instinctive shooters with the archery. You can also be an instinctive shooter with the flakes. Instinctively shoot the flakes. Just like instinctively shoot the arrows or the darts. So I do a lot of instinctive shooting on the flakes. I don't think about it all that much. This edge is really, really wonky. Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. What was I looking at? I saw that in my feed on Instagram. These little the Willy Wonka memes or something. I think. I don't know. Well, yeah, I've been watching a lot of comedians. That's right. When you start watching comedians, you get funny stuff. I mean, weird stuff in your feed. It's kind of like what they're putting in chicken feed. Weird stuff in the chicken feed. Right? That's what I'm hearing. They put weird stuff in your comedy feeds too. Why am I worried about chickens? I eat a lot of chickens, and I eventually want chickens. Eventually. Fresh eggs, fresh chickens. It's gonna be good. Yeah, if they don't kill all the chickens off. First, you gotta wonder. I mean, it would probably be so easy to chemically sterilize them, as well as making them less productive egg layers. Yeah, because the roosters eat the same feed. You don't give your rooster a different feed, so you could chemically castrate them, maybe, or mess them up. You never know. Just thinking about that stuff is kind of scary. If you're highly dependent on mysterious sources for your food, you never know what's going on right under your nose. Yeah, so I'm watching those kind of videos too, you know what I mean. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't really like a lot of these conspiracies, or I don't get all, maybe. But you can't ignore all the signs. Too much of a coincidence in some cases. Some cases. It's too much of a coincidence. So you gotta watch. I'm gonna be watching. Not that I can do much about it, but you know. Yeah. Bad part is, what do you do about it? Once you find out, what do you do? What can you do? Become more self-reliant. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bummer though, because cooperation is always better. Cooperation is always better than, you know, self-reliance. You can be a lot more productive with cooperation than you can with separation. Anyway. Imagine if you had to learn Flintknapping on your own, without the cooperation of people who are willing to show you. Productivity goes way up with cooperation. Resources go way up with cooperation. Whenever I get into a discussion with an archaeologist, many of them are they're of the mindset that the higher the population, the more competition there is for resources. Either they forget, or they've been programmed that way. They forget that with increased population, you have increased cooperation, and then increased production of resources, like food. When you cooperate, you can produce more food than if you do it all by yourself on your own. So you learn this pretty quick. Cooperate with your neighbors and then you can get more food. It's a no-brainer, right? But for some reason, people who study ancient cultures, they forget that. They forget that the increase in population actually increases cooperation. And the reason why society's collapse is not because of overpopulation. It's because of the irrational actors, the ones that start focusing on things like revenge and other political nonsense. Yeah. Vengeance. I think vengeance has led to the destruction of many ancient civilizations. Yeah, I can't go thinner than that, obviously. The stiff fractures are rearing their ugly heads. Yeah. Dang it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave those in. I guess, I don't know. I'll make something out of this, but it won't be fancy. I mean, it won't look nice and smooth. I'll just go as thin as I can. I don't think I can get it any thinner than 5:1. I don't think I can. It'd be nice to blast away some of those areas, but it started out good. Yeah. So I'm just, letting you know what happens if you try for the thinness and it doesn't work. It's not you, it's the stone in many cases. Sometimes it is you, but sometimes it's a stone. Now, see, if I try for that right there, I'll install a curve. Can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. No. I'm not gonna install that curve. There's no way. It's totally preventable. I ain't gotta do this. No. Take mass off the other side to get rid of that curve. Theoretically. Yeah, I'm starting to get into the concrete right there on that side, so I can't move more mass, but it straightened it out a little bit. There. Anyways, okay. This is looking more and more real as I go. Yeah. Even though you do feel gypped. Yeah, I know you do. Some of you are going, I watched this whole thing, 54 minutes, just to see him end up with stiff fractured nonsense. Yeah, I had to pull up with the yip yap. just to look at step fractured nonsense. I'm disappointed. You get what you pay for, man. Yep. How much did you pay for this little bit of instruction? Anything? Anybody? Only you guys on the YouTube subscription. I'm on that. I like it because I don't see ads. I still get revenue from that too. I get revenue from people who have subscriptions that watch my channel. It's a fraction of what I get normally from the ads, but it's still, your subscription money does go to the content creators, some of it anyway. Maybe like 1% or less, but still, YouTube does give some of it away. Yeah, I monetized my channel after YouTube started to put ads on my channel without my permission, and I said, no, you know, that's so wrong. You know, don't even tell me. I'm sure it's in the terms of service. They say, we updated our terms of service, please sign here. You know, you always sign, because if you don't get the service. And that probably is in there. YouTube will now put ads on your videos regardless of your preference. It's probably in there somewhere. And I signed it, so I got no excuses. Yeah. Got no choices, but still, you know how authoritarians work. Once they got you dependent, yeah, it's your choice. We're going to do whatever we want with you. It's your choice whether to stay with us or not. It don't matter if, you can't live without us, or you can't make a living without us. That's not what concerns us. What concerns us is we can say it's your choice, when actually it really is. What choice do you have? After you become dependent, you don't have a choice. Yep. What happens to the spirit of cooperation when these powerful entities take over? What makes them forget that cooperation leads to more resources than competition? What makes them forget that? Oh, I know. It's just school training. Yeah. It gets into archaeology. It gets into everything. It just... Why? But why would they train people in competition rather than cooperation? Why would they condition people to think in terms of competition rather than cooperation? Why think in terms of exploitation rather than in contractual agreements? Why? I think we know why, but that's something for me and my sons to discuss, because they're into the political stuff. Not for discussion on this channel. Although I will say, my definition of politics is the attainment of a position of power or responsibility through any means other than merit. And I'll just leave it at that. So I gotta notch this. It's a Texas church, so I make a Texas point out of it. Yeah, of course. Of course. I still do want to take a flake into that area though, just to see what happens. Because this is the risk channel, right? Let's see. This is the adventures in Flintknapping. I gotta have some adventure. If there's no risk, there's no adventure. Here it comes. That's not a good sign. It's not a good sign when it should go and it doesn't. All right. All right, you. It wants me to make a perfect platform so that it can crush and not do nothing. Yeah. That's what it wants. It wants to mock me. It wants to make fun of me. Made you make a perfect platform that got all crushed. Yeah. So yeah, I got an excuse to attack that with a full frontal assault. Yeah, because I know it's mocking me. So I'm going to attack it. Did it do it? Let's see. No, it didn't do it. I'm going to strike that again. I don't want to separate it too much, but you can see. I'm going to strike that again and see if it'll power through that. I think it's trying. No, I can't. It's too loose. Let's see. There's a possibility that I could strike through that. And whatever happens, happens. This could be the last straw that broke the camel's back. It was a good strike. Now let's see if I can power through the rest of it. It's dicey though. I'm gonna hit the, instead of hitting the bottom of that step, I'm gonna hit this top part right there first. Yeah, see how it wanted to dive in? Let's see if we can reassemblize. Hit the top part of that step fracture and it tried to dive in. See that? It scooped out that piece. But now that I've got just that rise here in the middle, if I strike it again lower, it may not dive. It may just pop out because now it's got a shallow spot behind it. It may just pop it out. Yeah, so we'll try it. So first I hit the upper step. Now I'm going to hit the lower step. No, I didn't know it was going to dive like that. Normally it just skins across the top, but if it dives like that, it gives you an opportunity to strike off that middle portion. I don't want to hit it too hard, so this might take a while. Yeah, I don't know. It's getting dicey. I'm having to increase these hits every time. It's not gonna go. It's not gonna go unless I really nail it with a huge amount of force, and then it'll just break the whole thing. I didn't come this far to break the whole thing. So let's see if I can get this with pressure. I might have already damaged the step fracture, so I can't push on it. Let's see. And I could have rounded it off too much with the other tool, because I'm not getting any purchase on it. Yeah, no purchase. No purchases. Let's see. What happens if I do this? Yeah. Shall we go more narrow? Anybody getting itchy? Itchy to remove it? I think there are people that are itchy to remove it. They just don't say nothing because they'd rather be lurkers. They'd rather be in the shadows just watching. You know, sitting in the shadows with their trench coat. Just watching. Why trench coat? You know, like in the comic books, when you have somebody just watching. He's always wearing a trench coat. So these lurkers are watching the videos, no commenting. They got their trench coats on. Yeah. And fedora caps. For some reason, I'm getting a lot of gangster movies clips in my feed. I guess if you start looking up revolvers, they'd start putting gangster movie clips in your feed. What are they feeding me in my feed? Guys with fedoras and trench coats. That's what they're doing. That's what reminded me of that. And they ambush somebody. They watch and they ambush. Except it doesn't always go like they planned, especially with gangsters. You try to ambush a gangster, it's like you're thinking, how's it going to work good? But what you're not realizing is this gangster's probably been ambushed a dozen times, and he's still alive. So you're back there going, hee, we're going to get him now. When he's already survived ambushes many times. Yeah. Can't be too overconfident. I'm trying to ambush this step fracture in this spot, but it's resisted my attacks many times already. I'm not going to take it for granted that this time I'm going to get it. No, I'm not going to take it for granted because I might not get it. It's already resisted many times. All right. And it's right in the middle where I don't like these heavy strikes. Why don't I like the heavy strikes in the middle? Because of the incipient cracks. The harder you hit, the greater the chance for an incipient crack. A radial incipient crack. let's see. I can pick at it. It's starting to get into the small point realm, which is a different ball game. It's a different mindset. Once it starts getting real small like this, it becomes a different mindset for finishing it out. I'm already used to making the transition, but if you're not used to it, you're going to break it. Yep. I'm used to this transition from big point to small point. Just out of necessity. If I have to make something, it's part of being a professional napper. You know, there are some days where you have to make a certain number of points. You're going to have to learn to make the transition. If it's not going to be a big point, then it's going to be a small one. But you can't make that transition easily as a new guy. And that new guys, that's what they want to do right off the bat. If I can't make a big one, at least it'll get... At least I have plenty of room to make a small one. And guess what happens? You don't make anything. Yep. Let's see. Sometimes when I get into a discussion with an archaeologist, I'll just throw something out there and see what they say. I'll just throw some weird stuff out there and see what they say. If they stay quiet, I know that if I hear crickets, there's something going on, right? I just wish I knew what. Do they think I'm an idiot? Because that's a possibility. You know, you throw out a question just to see what they say, and there could be just crickets because they think you're a total idiot. And they go, oh no, I've just encountered some weird life form. College didn't prepare me for this. It's a weird life form thinking in weird ways. Yeah. And they don't say anything. Sometimes they'll say a lot. They'll just start, and then you go, ooh, wow, I touched a nerve. I touched a nerve. Nerve touching has been achieved. Yeah. Is it funny? Sometimes it's funny, but sometimes it's not, because you kind of go, well, did I touch a bad nerve, or was it just a normal nerve? A lot of times you just touch the normal nerve. It's the bias nerve that doesn't want to back up from their bias. So they buttress their position. They start buttressing. Using a military term. They don't retreat. They start buttressing. Oh yes. They don't know military strategy. They don't know that oftentimes maneuverability, retreat, followed by counterattack, is more effective than buttressing your position. It's usually almost always more effective to retreat than hold at all costs. Yeah, but they don't seem to know that in many cases. It's hold at all costs, throw everything into the defense, buttress the position, no yielding at all. And we know that in the military, that leads to disaster. But the commanders keep making the same mistake over and over, over and over. Yeah. Why? Some of it is human nature, the way the brain reacts to stress. Some of it is doctrinal. They're just taught to do that, so that the leaders don't look weak. Yeah, it looks weak to retreat or to admit that they lost ground. An obvious sign of weakness, it looks like. So yeah, that's what we're up against. Should we decide to take on the mission? Yeah. All right, here we go. What am I going to do for notches? And this camera, it does weird stuff. It's supposed to focus really fast, but it's not doing it. Is it because of dust? Let's see. I don't know. Okay. I was going to make some notchers today, but I did it. I got a nail. I was going to make a notcher. Let's see. Maybe I can do some punch notching just with this. Let's see. Let's do some blind notching. You can't see, I can't see, nobody can see. That's the way we like it. Yeah. Right? You ready? Can you see? No? Well, that's the way you're supposed to do it. Apparently, you do it so no one can see what's going on. I can't see. You can't see. It's mysterious. Yeah. Oh yeah. You do the fancy digging in there with the tip of the notcher. Yeah. Do the mysterious pop outs. Yeah. Hope you don't ruin the whole thing. Can you see? No? Perfect. Perfect. You don't get to see where I'm applying the force or nothing. That's the way it should be, right? Right. Am I getting on anybody's nerves yet? No? I can try harder. You know me. I aim to please. I could try much harder. Get on your nerves. Is that good enough? Yeah? Okay. No? It's not good enough? Well, that's all you get. It's already driving me totally insane. I had to joke around during that because it was totally stupid. Alright. I don't know. I'm just going to do notches that I like doing. I really don't like the narrow entry stuff. Nope. Don't like the narrow entry notching at all. I like the way it looks. And yeah, I'll be the first to say, ooh, I'm enjoying the way this looks. But only after it's done. Yeah. Putting in the silly notches, the narrow entry. Nope. It's not enjoyable for me. Some guys love it. Love it. It's a challenge. It's the kind of challenge you can get your teeth into, so to speak. It requires complete absorption. As someone with ADHD, I should be liking the complete absorption into the task at hand. Yeah. So either I have a strange type of ADHD or I'm just weird. I don't know. It's not ADHD, it's something else. There are some times where I like to do intensely focused activities, but it's mainly when I'm listening or watching something or observing, not when I'm making something. Usually. Sometimes I will get into making something very intricate and I will enjoy it. I'll let you know if it happens. Okay. Am I getting concrete down in here too? This is raw stone, by the way, in case I didn't notice. In case you didn't notice and I didn't tell you. I don't think I told you. It's pretty obvious. I started with a raw piece of rock. And this is what you get. It's one of those, you find it, you nap it. I found it and I'm napping it. It's one of those things. It's free. It was free, and if I don't count the gas, which probably cost me $50 minimum round trip. Let's see. To get this stone takes me an hour and a half, 3 hours round trip. It's $10 an hour, so $30. $30 to get these rocks. I got a bunch of rocks, so pound for pound, it was worth it. If I liked working this stuff. Do I like working this stuff? I wish. Man, life would be so much easier if I actually liked working this type of stuff. I was so hopeful that it was HQR. You know, I was all happy and stuff. But I'm napping the center. I shouldn't be. I should be just like they did back in the day. They just left it. They chucked it. They already knew the future. They were going, you come up with something like this in the middle, right? All clunky. And you go, chuck it. Toss it. Because it's not worth it. Because you get something like this. It takes you like an hour and 24 minutes and 32 seconds. When it should have taken only 20 minutes. Yeah. Oh well. Let me see. Why did I grind it? Because I'm going to sharpen this bottom edge down here. Thin it down a little bit. Is it good? It's not good. There's dull spots everywhere because the concrete doesn't nap with a little bulb of percussion or little bulb of pressure. doesn't scoop out if it's concretey. The scoop outs is only good for the high quality stone, which I thought this was, but it's not. It's all concretey. You can't scoop out the edge. Come on, camera. You're a fancy ass piece of junk. See, it's kind of dull. It feels kind of sharp, but it's not that sharp. That edge isn't too bad right there. See that? It's got a little bit sticking out. A little bit of thinness, some dullness. It gets better toward the tip, in theory, which is the important part. Alright, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So now you saw all the way through napping from rock to point, and I napped the center of that nodule when I should have just napped one of the spalls. Okay. Yeah. Even though this is concrete, no, it doesn't feel too bad. I still got a bigger point than I would have off one of the spalls, probably. Let's see. You see my scarf? My neckerchief? Yeah. I would have gotten a smaller one than this. Yeah. Okay. It's getting hot anyway. I need to take off my neckerchief. See? We had a cold front blow in and a dust storm. I got the heater going. You can probably hear it in the background. Little space heater. Space heater. Nice. It's very nice. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to post this. I'll make some more videos for when I'm on my trip. I'll be able to post videos. Okay, and there you go.